And you're probably here because you want to, get a good grasp on DeFi, maybe quickly, but also thoroughly.
Exactly. So we've got this document, 10% liquiditypool.pdf. That's our source.
Hmm.
And our mission really is to unpack the core ideas in this strategy, focusing on how to engage with these pools, but always keeping risk in mind.
And that long-term view, it's not about quick flips.
Definitely not. Okay, so where does it start?
Well, right off the bat, it talks about allocation,
Mm.
deciding the total amount you're comfortable putting in.
Okay, step one, figure out your total investment.
And then it introduces this idea of a wealth habit.
A wealth habit. What does that mean here?
It seems to involve like consistent actions and specifically allocating a percentage of any rewards you might get back into the strategy.
Right, reinvesting. But what if there aren't any rewards, especially at the start?
Good question. The document mentions something called cost average saving for that scenario.
Cost average saving? Like dollar cost averaging.
Sort of, yeah.
Hmm.
Even without rewards, you consistently add a bit. It helps average out your entry price over time, smoothing things out if prices are moving.
Okay, that makes sense. A gradual approach. So after deciding the how much, what's step two?
Step two is defining your liquidity pool, choosing which specific one you want to participate in.
And for context, a liquidity pool on a DEX, it's basically a pot of cryptocurrencies that traders use, right?
Okay.
Facilitates the trades.
Exactly. And the document makes a distinction here between big pools and smaller ones.
Ah, okay. What's the key difference for someone listening?
Generally, the big pools, the ones with lots of assets already in them, they tend to have more stable prices, less volatility.
Because one trade doesn't move the needle as much.
Precisely. Whereas smaller pools, well, they can experience more significant price swings. Potentially higher risk, maybe higher reward, but definitely more movement.
Got it. And this is where they first mention impertinent loss, spelled with an E.
Yeah, it's interesting phrasing. They flag it here and point you to apertum.io for like a deeper study.
But they do elaborate a bit later, right?
They do, yeah. And they also give examples of big pools right here.
What are they?
Specifically WAPTM WUSDT and APTM WUSDT.
Okay, so pairs involving APTM or wrapped APTM with USDT, which is a stable coin, that's pretty common.
Very common pairing strategy using a stable coin.
All right, moving on to step four, the actual 10% strategy mechanics. They use a $100 example in WUSDT. How does it work?
Okay, so you take your $100 worth of WUSDT. The strategy says split it.
50-50.
Exactly. $50, $50. Then you take one of those $50 chunks
Uh-huh.
and you use it to buy the other asset in the pair you chose. So either APTM or WAPTM, bought right there on the Apertum DEX.
Okay, so you swap half your stable coins for the other token.
Right. And then you take that APTM or WAPTM you just bought and you pair it up with the $50 of WUSDT you still have left.
Ah, so now you have roughly equal value of both tokens.
That's the goal. A 50-50 value split.
Yeah.
And then you deposit both into that liquidity pool you picked earlier.
Okay. Providing liquidity with an equal value of both sides.
Yeah.
Then step five is tracking.
Yeah, tracking progress. They recommend using an Excel sheet, which makes sense.
What are you tracking exactly?
Primarily how the 0.3% fee you earn from trades happening in the pool affects your portion over time. You want to see how your share is growing, ideally.
And they revisit impertinent loss here too. What's their simplified take on it?
It's quite specific. They say, and this seems key, impertinent loss principles only applies when taking funds out.
Only when you withdraw. So what happens while your funds are in the pool?
Well, the document explains that your initial, let's say, $100 value generally stays put within the pool, assuming the overall market doesn't crash. But the ratio of the two assets you deposited can change.
How so?
Price swings. If, say, APTM goes way up compared to WUSDT, the pool automatically rebalances your share. You'll end up holding less APTM and more WUSDT than you started with.
But the total dollar value at that moment is still roughly the same.
Within the pool, yes, according to this simplified view. The loss, the impermanent loss, really becomes, well, permanent or realized only if you withdraw at a point where the value is less than if you had just held the original asset separately.
Okay, so it's about the potential loss compared to just holding realized upon withdrawal. Got it.
It's a crucial concept in liquidity providing.
Definitely. So wrapping up, what are the main takeaways from this document?
The big message is this is presented as a long-term wealth building habit, not a get-rich-quick thing.
Yeah, patience and consistency seem key. And self-education before acting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they circle back to the risk, reminding you that smaller pools can have those bigger price swings. Be aware.
And it ends with that line, your keys, your crypto, your habits, puts the responsibility squarely on you.
Very DeFi ethos. Ownership and responsibility.
So here's something to chew on after this. Considering these price fluctuations and this idea of impertinent loss, what other kinds of long-term strategies might you think about for managing risk in DeFi? Just some food for thought.
Good question to ponder.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.